I was the bottom of my class at the police academy, but on my first day on the job, I made a repeat offender break down in tears with just my fists, confessing his entire decade-long criminal history. Everyone thought I was just a reckless rookie, but what they didn't know was that my fists had a unique ability. I could make every criminal tell me the truth. When I brought him into the police station, everyone was shocked by my methods, but they had no idea. My abilities went far beyond this. My name is Fong Ning, a newly recruited probationary police officer. Today was my first day reporting to the Urxiankyo police station in Spring City. However, on the number 8 bus heading there, I hadn't even had time to get used to my new identity when a piercing scream snapped me back to reality. A girl was crying and shouting that her phone was missing. I scanned my surroundings, and my eyes locked onto a thin man wearing a baseball cap, who was sneaking toward the car door. As an undercover detective with over a decade of experience, I could tell at a glance that he was up to no good. Without a moment's hesitation, I yanked off my headphones and shouted, "Driver, don't open the doors at the station. There's a thief on the bus." As soon as I finished speaking, the man in the baseball cap shot me a chilling glare. I smirked disdainfully and met his gaze, but the baseball cap man flinched, hastily pulling his brim lower. My physique and presence clearly intimidated him. At that moment, a screeching brake sound rang out. The driver indeed didn't open the door. I felt a surge of joy and stood up, moving toward the man in the baseball cap. Seeing the situation turning unfavorable, he tried to retreat in the opposite direction, but was firmly blocked by my outstretched arm. "Bro, stop pretending, just take out your phone." My tone was firm. The man in the baseball cap struggled to break free but couldn't, so he stubbornly retorted, "Who the hell are you? Are you crazy? I don't understand a word you're saying." Other passengers cast skeptical glances, and some even urged me not to falsely accuse an innocent person. I explained, "Everyone, trust me, I'm a police officer. This guy is definitely suspicious." Hearing this, the man in the baseball cap scoffed dismissively and mocked, "Stop bragging without looking in the mirror. A cop? Then where's your badge? If you're a cop, then I'm Inspector Lei Luo." As he spoke, he clutched his stomach pretending to have a stomachache, even letting out a fart in public, the stench filling the train car. Just as the girl was too flustered to speak, I had already made up my mind. Since you won't cooperate, then I won't hold back either. Ding! Host's emotions detected. The rogue cop system has awakened. A strange voice echoed in my mind. A system? I froze for a moment before the system notified me that I had received the newbie starter pack Truth Fist, an ability that imbues my fists with truth-telling properties. A playful smile curled at the corner of my lips as I glanced at the man in the baseball cap. Just then, the car door slowly opened. The man, overjoyed, leaped out, only to have my hand shoot out from inside the car and seize him by the neck. Like carrying a chick, he hauled him back into the carriage. "Murder! Murder!" The man in the baseball cap collapsed to the ground, shouting in terror, but immediately fell silent because he himself was the thief. Wouldn't calling the police be like walking right into a trap? I quickly stepped forward, grabbed his hands with one hand while pressing on his neck with the other, and within less than 3 seconds retrieved the phone from his inner pocket. The phone was handed to the girl, and she delightfully recognized the phone case. It was hand-knitted by her deceased mother. Watching her joy at recovering what was lost, a warm feeling surged in my heart. Isn't this the very reason I chose to become a police officer? Passengers began to accuse the man in the baseball cap. Seeing the situation, he decided to go all out, pulling out a blade and threatening everyone. "Let me down, or I can't guarantee what impulsive thing I might do." The crowd stepped back one after another, leaving only the man in the baseball cap and me in a standoff. I looked at him calmly, a playful smile curling at the corners of my mouth. His heart skipped a beat, then he swung the blade at me wildly. "Watch out!" Just as the blade was about to strike me, my left hand firmly grasped his wrist and then twisted it hard. With a snap, his wrist broke. The man in the baseball cap let out a pig-slaughtering scream. Ignoring him, I punched his ribs. Another snap echoed. He collapsed to the ground, completely incapacitated. "Talk, besides stealing phones today, what other illegal things have you done?" I asked in a deep voice. The man in the baseball cap stared blankly, his mouth twitching, and then, like pouring beans out of a bamboo tube, he confessed all his crimes one by one. From stealing at the mobile phone store to stealing a Mercedes-Benz car, to pickpocketing on the subway. He even confessed to exchanging 1 yuan for the blind old man's 100 yuan bill. I nodded with satisfaction. The effect of the Truth Fist was even more impressive than I had imagined. "Master, turn at the terminal stop and stop at the gate of Urxiankyo police station." At 7:30 a.m., bus number 8 came to a steady stop in front of the police station. The man in the baseball cap cried and begged to get off the car to turn himself in, leaving the bewildered gatekeeper, who then contacted the officers on duty, Zheng Feng and He Wei. The two of them walked out the gate one after the other, and the man in the baseball cap limped over as if meeting a long-lost relative. Shouting his nickname Little Six, he tearfully begged them to arrest him. Zheng Feng and He Wei looked shocked. They knew this Xiao Luzi all too well, a notorious tough nut who was utterly unfazed by any pressure. Now he's actually turning himself involuntarily, and he's covered in wounds. I took out the notice and identified myself to them. They looked at the notice and then at me, their eyes filled with disbelief. Their favorability toward me skyrocketed, thinking that as the bottom-ranked student, I might not be so bad after all. You're still too green, stealing a phone will only get you locked up for a few days. They patted my shoulder and sighed softly. I smiled and gave Xiao Liuzi a pat on the back of his head, saying, "Go on, Xiao Liuzi." Xiao Liuzi stumbled and once again repeated all his crimes. When Zhang Feng and He Wei heard that he had stolen nearly 20 phones, along with gold bracelets and Mutai liquor, totaling over 200,000 yuan in value, their expressions instantly turned grave. The two exchanged a glance, thinking the same thing simultaneously. This disciple, I must take him under my wing. I ignored the undercurrents between them because my system once again emitted a notification sound. Ding! Detected that the host has successfully captured a criminal. Reward justice points, 100. I silently thought about the lottery, and a red wheel immediately appeared before my eyes, spinning rapidly. Ding! Congratulations, host, for obtaining the true eye. My eyes suddenly saw different light spots. The two police officers were emitting white light, while Xiao Lu beside them was giving off a faint red glow. The criminal is red, the deeper the color, the higher the sin value. My heart was overjoyed with this divine skill. Catching criminals would be effortless, wouldn't it? Just then, the urgent sound of a police siren rang out as a beat-up Mazda sped down the street, followed by a police car. Before my eyes, a crimson to purple glowing dot perfectly overlapped with the Mazda's trajectory. Something's up. My pupils rapidly contracted. Without hesitation, I dashed after it. Chapter 4, Breaking News. A vicious Class A fugitive. Urxiangqiu Police Station. Upon entering the gate, Zhang Feng pointed to the three-story building ahead as his counterpart Ning introduced. This is the station's office building, 3 stories tall. The third floor houses the chief's office and conference room. The first floor houses the reception hall and interrogation rooms. We usually work on the second floor. Where's everyone? Zhang Feng glanced behind him and realized the area was completely empty. Fong Ning was nowhere to be seen. He seems to have gone after the sedan. He Wei pointed in the direction Fong Ning had gone and clicked his tongue in surprise. In the blink of an eye, Fong Ning had sprinted over 10 meters away, now reduced to a tiny black speck. Good grief, he must be a former track athlete. Just then, the two noticed police cars tailing the sedan one after another. City Criminal Investigation Squad? Their eyes widened like saucers when they saw the police license plates. For the city bureau to mobilize this many officers for a manhunt, the suspect in that car must be a major criminal. Holy crap! He can't be going to arrest someone, can he? The pair were utterly shocked, cold sweat beading on their foreheads. A criminal of this caliber was far beyond what a petty thief could compare to. They knew Fong Ning was skilled, but he was still a greenhorn. If they failed to make the arrest and something went wrong, the two dared not dwell on the consequences. Lao He, take Xiao Lu to the interrogation room first. I'll follow and check things out. Got it. Meanwhile, Fong Ning sprinted along, keeping a safe distance behind the Mazda. Urxiangqiu Street lay at the urban-rural fringe, dotted with urban villages and crisscrossed by narrow, winding roads. The Mazda swerved wildly, plowing through traffic. Its speed wasn't high, but its destructive force was immense. Fong Ning weaved through traffic and quickly closed in on the Mazda ahead. Just as he drew near, a series of crashes and shouts erupted. The Mazda suddenly burst onto the bustling street, careening wildly. Roadside fruit stalls and breakfast stands were smashed to pieces. Bright red tomato juice mixed with white soy milk splattered across the Mazda's windows, a vivid contrast. Pedestrians on the sidewalk screamed in terror, and chaos erupted instantly across the entire street. Bang! Squeal! The Mazda spun out, its rear end making intimate contact with a streetlight pole. The pole snapped clean off and crashed onto the sidewalk. Directly beneath where it fell, a little girl was crying. "Mommy, I want mommy." The little girl stood rooted to the spot, wailing loudly, completely oblivious to the danger overhead. The crowd scattered in all directions, and no one nearby had time to rescue the child. Some people even covered their eyes, unable to bear watching. Thud! The streetlight crashed violently onto the ground, its metallic tremor echoing in Fong Ning's ears, making them buzz. Just as the lamp was about to strike the girl, Fong Ning lunged forward. With a last-minute forward roll, he shielded the girl tightly in his arms. "Little one, are you okay?" Ignoring the stinging pain in his ears, Fong Ning scrambled to his feet to check on the girl. The girl seemed terrified, clinging tightly to Fong Ning's arm without a word, refusing to let go. Just then, Fong Ning caught sight of Officer Zhang running toward them, panting heavily. "Don't be afraid. See that police officer over there? Go to him. He'll help you find your mom." Seeing the Mazda about to vanish from sight, she didn't wait to meet Officer Zhang. Straightening abruptly, she gave chase once more. Pushing himself to the limit once more, Fong Ning's stamina began to wane as he gasped for breath. But the thought of the little girl who had nearly lost her life ignited an uncontrollable rage within him, making him want to punch the driver of the Mazda in the face right then and there. Soon, the Mazda reappeared within his field of vision, a bright red dot blinking on the true sight interface. Bang! A thunderous crash echoed as the Mazda slammed into the curb, instantly engulfed in billowing smoke. Within seconds, a burly, bald man clutched his forehead as he kicked open the door. Blood trickled slowly from his fingers, soaking the scorpion tattoo on his arm and giving it an eerie appearance. The sound of sirens grew louder. The scorpion man clutched his bleeding forehead, glanced left and right, then darted into the alley entrance. A minute later, Fong Ning approached the Mazda and noticed a trail of blood leading deep into the alley. The alley entrance was pitch black and devoid of light, like the maw of a man-eating beast. As the red dot on his true sight device faded into the distance, the police cars still hadn't arrived. Fong Ning knew that if he missed this chance, the suspect would surely vanish without a trace. Without hesitation, Fong Ning plunged into the alley. The entrance was extremely narrow. Looking up, he could only see a sliver of sky as thin as a finger, dimly lit. The ground was littered with dilapidated wooden crates and neglected furniture and appliances. The slightest pressure caused a sharp, unusually crisp cracking sound beneath his feet. Without long-term familiarity with this place, finding an exit would be impossible, let alone tracking down a person. Thankfully, he had the true eye. Spotting the red dot moving to the right, Fong Ning hurried after it. The further he went, the dimmer the light became. Fong Ning could only barely navigate the alleyways by relying on the eye of truth. On the other side, the scorpion man clutched the wound on his forehead and spat out a mouthful of saliva. Damn it, never thought the cops would be on my tail. What rotten luck. If I hadn't already scouted this area thoroughly, I'd have been screwed this time. Just then, Scorpion Man faintly heard rustling sounds not far behind him. His heart skipped a beat. Someone was chasing him. His expression darkened, but he didn't slow his pace. He snorted coldly and quickened his pace, heading toward an even darker alleyway. Before long, the Scorpion Man sensed something increasingly off. At first, it was just the occasional crackling sound, but now the crackling was getting closer and closer. Cold sweat poured down the Scorpion Man's back as a tingling sensation surged from his soles to his heart. How could he know my location? That's impossible. Take him out. His face twisted into a fierce expression as he pressed himself against the wall, half his face exposed. Clutching the wooden stick tightly, he cautiously peered toward the alley entrance behind him. Snap! Snap! The sound grew closer, and Scorpion Man couldn't help but swallow hard. The next second, a figure standing 6 feet tall burst around the corner, running at full speed. In the dim light, his face looked like it had been carved with a knife. Holy! Damn you, Turtle Hermit! The Scorpion Man spun and bolted, scared out of his wits. Seeing the man behind him gaining speed, he knew he was about to be caught. Panic seized the Scorpion Man. He scrambled up a pile of junk and vaulted over a courtyard wall. Outside the wall, several large characters were faintly visible. Urxiankyo First Experimental Kindergarten. Chapter 5, Uncles helping the bad guys swat mosquitoes. Fong Ning, running at full speed, stumbled to a halt. His eyes darted to the wall, where several large characters were carved. Urxiankyo First Experimental Kindergarten. Oh no! Fong Ning's heart pounded like thunder, his breath quickening. Whether Scorpion Man intended it or not, fleeing into the kindergarten was bad news. What if the children were harmed? Cold sweat instantly broke out on Fong Ning's forehead, and he dared not imagine the consequences. At that moment, a piercing scream echoed from within the kindergarten. Fong Ning's heart pounded violently. Blood rushed to his head, and the ferocity in his eyes intensified. He crouched low, then sprang upward, hooking his hand over the wall. Using the wall's surface to propel himself upward, he launched himself over the top and landed steadily inside the kindergarten compound. Looking around, the academic building stood directly ahead, the school gate to the right, and the playground to the left. Shrieks echoed from the first floor of the building. Through the windows, teachers could be glimpsed herding students into classrooms. At the edge of the playground, 2 security guards, one wielding a shield, the other a riot fork, stood facing the Scorpion Man on either side. The Scorpion Man stood on the left, knife in one hand, the other clamped tightly around a female teacher's neck, shouting curses. Back off! Step back now, or I'll kill her! With that, he pressed the blade of his knife threateningly against her neck. A trickle of blood immediately seeped from her snow-white neck, a sight that was truly horrifying. Her hair was disheveled, her eyes filled with terror, her face deathly pale, and her lips bitten until they bled from sheer fear. The 2 security guards had never witnessed such a scene. Their hands trembled slightly as they held their shields and forks. Their legs moved backward uncontrollably, pulling them farther and farther away from the Scorpion Man. Oh, I thought you were some big shot. Turns out you're just a worthless piece of trash who takes women hostage. What a waste of time following you all this while. What a bummer. Fong Ning stepped out from the corner with a look of contempt. All eyes turned to Fong Ning. The Scorpion Man tilted his head, licking the blood from his blade, his eyes blazing with savagery. So it's you mangy dog, who's been tailing me all this time? I'll let you off today. Get lost now, and I might spare you. Fong Ning grinned, revealing his signature pearly whites. Then I'd really have to thank you. But I never said I'd let you off today. I'm a cop. Not some damn horse-releasing guy. The Scorpion Man's pupils contracted sharply, veins bulging on his face as he looked savagely menacing. Ha! You want to arrest me? If you don't want her dead, back off. With that, he yanked the woman in front of him, his eyes gleaming with madness. Her face flushed crimson, unable to speak, she could only repeatedly slap at the Scorpion Man's arm. But her strength was too weak, her slaps felt like mere tickles against him. Tears welled in her eyes as she looked at Fong Ning, her gaze screaming for help. Fong Ning's expression darkened. After a 2-second pause, he turned and walked away. Watching Fong Ning walk away, despair washed over the woman's eyes as she slowly closed them. The 2 security guards hesitated, unsure what Fong Ning was up to. The Scorpion Man, seeing Fong Ning walk away, burst into maniacal laughter. I thought Chuanqing's cops were so tough, but they're just cowards. As Fong Ning grew farther away, the Scorpion Man gradually relaxed his guard, lowering the knife hovering over the woman's throat. The very instant the blade left her neck. Whoosh! A pebble struck the Scorpion Man's wrist with pinpoint accuracy. Thud! The Scorpion Man winced in pain as the knife plunged straight into the plastic running track. At the same time, a dark shadow lunged forward, accompanied by a whistling sound. A pair of massive feet appeared before the Scorpion Man's chest. In less than 3 seconds, the Scorpion Man could only watch helplessly as the massive feet closed in, utterly unable to react. Crack! The Scorpion Man was sent flying 2 meters through the air, landing face first in an intimate encounter with the track. Fong Ning brushed the dust off his feet, gazing coldly at the fallen Scorpion Man. You bastard! You ambushed me! The Scorpion Man spat out 2 bloodied teeth, his face looking gaunt and sunken. Sneak attack? Why bother talking about honor with trash like you? You think you're worthy? The Scorpion Man suddenly grew calm. He licked the blood from his lips, flashing a wicked grin, and then produced another dagger from his boot. Standing dagger in hand, silent, his eyes locked on Fong Ning like a beast on the verge of savagery. Fong Ning slapped his forehead. Right. He hurriedly pulled out the unused plastic bag from his pocket and skillfully cut an opening. Here, put the weapon inside. Save me the trouble of doing it myself. Be a good boy and listen. The security guard standing closest to them heard Fong Ning's bold statement and felt his calves grow even more weak. Damn, that's way too intense. The criminal's got a knife, and not only are you unarmed, you're actually telling him to hand over his weapon? That's like telling a prostitute to go straight. Holy crap. Sure enough, the Scorpion Man's newly regained composure was instantly shattered to pieces. This is outright humiliation. You! The Scorpion Man let out a roar, lunging forward in a single stride. His right hand wielded a knife, slashing viciously toward Fong Ning's throat. His opening move was a killing blow proof of his savagery. Veins bulged on his forehead as he thrust with all his might. The blade's tip plunged downward with lightning speed. Suddenly, a searing pain shot through the Scorpion Man's wrist, nearly causing him to lose his grip on the blade. He was utterly ruthless and extremely dangerous. Looks like I'll have to break your limbs. Fong Ning's tone was calm, as if stating a simple fact. His right hand seized the Scorpion Man's wrist, while his left fist slammed down with brutal force. Snap! The Scorpion Man's right arm snapped clean off. Simultaneously, his right foot delivered a vicious kick to the Scorpion Man's knee. Another sharp crack echoed as the knee shattered. The Scorpion Man lost his balance entirely and crashed headfirst to the ground. But it wasn't over yet. Snap! Snap! 2 more bone-shattering snaps echoed as the Scorpion Man's limbs were completely crippled, leaving him sprawled on the ground like a pile of sludge. Ah! The piercing scream sent shivers down one's spine. Fong Ning sat astride the Scorpion Man's chest. He swung his palm, delivering blows left and right. You thought you could just drive recklessly. I'll make you drive through dark alleys. I'll make you take hostages. You called me a coward. I don't care anymore, I just want to whip your ass. Inside the classroom, the children cheered as they watched the villain get subdued. Uncle is so cool. Is he a cop? I've decided when I grow up, I want to be a cop too. But what's that uncle doing, waving his arms like that? The teacher's face froze. Uncle is helping the bad guy swat mosquitoes. The Scorpion Man's screams grew from loud to low, then finally fell completely silent. Only then did Fong Ning rise, still unsatisfied, clapped his hands, and wrapped the 2 pieces of evidence in a plastic bag. Inside the police car speeding at 100 km/h, Criminal Investigation Team Captain Josun's face was dark and grim, as cold as ice. Moments earlier, he'd received word that a suspect had allegedly broken into a kindergarten, with hostages taken on site. The situation was critical. What infuriated him even more was the report that someone claiming to be a police officer had strut right in. Likely local law enforcement. Nonsense. The Urxiankyo police station was utterly ridiculous. This is a Class A fugitive. What good is a beat cop? Squealing brakes echoed as the patrol car came to a smooth halt before the school gate. Josun dashed inside in a single bound. Chapter 6, Holy crap! Are this year's rookies this strong? After exiting the vehicle, Josun drew his modified Type 92 pistol from his waist, cocked the hammer, and crept toward the kindergarten, hugging the wall. Wang Bashan, nicknamed Scorpion, an A-level fugitive. The Scorpion had committed over a dozen murders and crimes across multiple provinces, employing extremely brutal methods. He was cautious and highly skilled at evading detection. The warrant had been out for over 6 years, yet police had never found a single lead. Half a year ago, the Municipal Bureau received intelligence indicating Scorpion had slipped into Spring City to hide. The city's criminal investigation team worked day and night, exhausting every avenue to locate his hideout. But just as the arrest operation was about to begin, Scorpion somehow sensed the danger ahead of time and forcibly seized a vehicle to break through the encirclement. Scorpion knew the area like the back of his hand, and the entire squad chased him for hours without catching him. Jo Sun was already seething with frustration, and the sudden appearance of a beat cop at the scene only added to his irritation. All units, Scorpion is extremely dangerous. Use lethal force if absolutely necessary. Without further delay, officers paired up and surrounded the kindergarten from all sides. Jo Sun slowly approached the kindergarten's main gate. Inside, everything was eerily quiet. A faint alarm stirred within him, a shadow of foreboding settling over his thoughts. Snap! A series of sharp, rhythmic sounds echoed from within the kindergarten. Like firecrackers going off in the middle of nowhere, abrupt and loud. After a few more minutes, the sounds gradually ceased. Jo Sun could no longer hold back. His eyes narrowed slightly as he took a deep breath, raised his gun, and charged toward the campus. In the distance, he spotted a bald man lying motionless on the ground. His arms and legs were contorted into unnatural positions, not a muscle stirring. Not far away, a tall man was bent over, fiddling with something on the ground. Freeze! Jo Sun aimed his gun at the man. Turn around and raise your hands. Fong Ning had just finished bagging the evidence when the sudden shout made him spin around to meet the cold muzzle of a gun. His body trembled, and 2 knives slipped from his hands. The scene was utterly awkward. My name is Fong Ning. I'm with the Urxiangqiu police station. I'm one of you. Fong Ning raised both hands high above his head, terrified he might be mistaken for a suspect. Jo Sun walked up to the bald man and examined him closely. He noticed a scorpion tattoo on the bald man's arm. His face was swollen like a pig's head, and a trickle of blood oozed from the corner of his mouth. Whoa! A scorpion! Jo Sun sucked in a sharp breath. A scorpion tattoo meant he was a martial artist, and with a desperado buff, ordinary officers stood no chance against him. And now he'd been disarmed and beaten to a pulp by a beat cop, his face a bloody mess, and Joe hadn't even recognized him. Jo Sun's face burned with embarrassment. The entire criminal investigation team had mobilized only to let Scorpion escape, only for him to be captured alive by a lowly beat cop. It was truly awkward. Such a formidable fighter working as a beat cop? What a waste of talent. If only they could recruit him. Jo Sun's eyes lit up as he patted Fong Ning's shoulder warmly. Not bad. You've got potential. What's your position at Urxiangqiu police station? If he wasn't mistaken, he was at least a captain. Glancing again at the Scorpion's pitiful state, Jo Sun was convinced Fong Ning was at least squad leader level. Fong Ning smacked his lips, feeling a bit embarrassed. Seeing the two staring at him, he muttered softly. I'm an intern at Urxiangqiu police station. Today's my first day reporting for duty. Jo Sun froze in place, his face alternating between red and white, his expression a roller coaster. An intern on his very first day apprehends a Class A fugitive? Where was he supposed to put his old face now? After a moment's pause, Jo Sun forced himself to compose. You must have been top of the entrance exams, right? He even nodded to himself silently. It had to be true, only the top scorer could possess such skill and courage. Fong Ning's face twisted awkwardly as he mumbled softly, I was first, but last. Jo Sun staggered back 2 steps, his mouth hanging open wide, unable to form words. Could this new batch of freshmen be this strong? Just then, Zhang Feng arrived panting from outside the school gates. Seeing Fong Ning unharmed, his face lit up with relief. Seeing officers from Urxiangqiu police station arrive, Jo Sun remained silent. To interrogate Scorpion as quickly as possible, Jo Sun made a last-minute decision to conduct the questioning on the spot, choosing the Urxiangqiu police station as the location. So the group carried the Class A fugitive, speeding toward the Urxiangqiu police station. 2nd Immortal Bridge police station, 3rd floor, chief's office. Chief Lin Dashan hung up the phone, his face flushed and neck bulging as he huffed and puffed. This is outrageous. Why must we get the worst one? Out of 12 divisions and 168 police stations, why single us out? Just because we ranked last in the evaluation? Instructor Kong Dong remained calm, adjusting his glasses as he quietly advised. Calm down. I checked the records. Fong Ning only ranked last in theory. His physical fitness test scores are actually top tier. Lin Dashan's expression softened slightly, though he still seethed with indignation. What good is physical fitness if you can't catch thieves? The arrest competition is about to start. A big, dumb oaf is useless. Urxiangqiu lies at the urban-rural fringe, dotted with numerous urban villages where the population is dense and diverse. Criminals were numerous and cunning, and the station was already severely understaffed. Adding a useless oaf to the mix would only slow us down. That's why Lin Dashan was so furious. Glancing at the time, it was already 9:30, yet the new recruit was nowhere to be seen. Lin Dashan's face darkened visibly. Oomph. Each generation is worse than the last. Utterly undisciplined and disorganized. What time is this? Knowing Lin Dashan's temperament, Kong Dongsheng realized he was genuinely furious and quickly tried to placate him. Calm down. It's only their first day reporting. Maybe they're out catching thieves? Lin Dashin rolled his eyes. If he really catches a thief on his first day, I'll treat the entire station to dinner. Just then, the two spotted He Wei escorting little Lu upstairs for interrogation. Nice work, old He. Catching thieves on night duty? You've got skills. Kong Dongsheng deliberately asked loudly, diverting Lin Dashin's attention. Sure enough, Lin Dashin's expression softened considerably as he nodded to old He. That's the kind of cop we need here. He Wei looked awkward and fidgeted, replying, I didn't catch him. It was the new recruit, Fong Ning. He was brought in by the bus driver. Kong Dongsheng burst out laughing upon hearing this. Haha, old Lin, get ready to bleed. Learning that Fong Ning was late because he caught a thief, Lin Dashin's face flushed slightly, though he felt a bit surprised. The rookie? Why didn't he come with you? He Wei slapped his thigh and hurriedly explained how Fong Ning had gone after the suspect. This is sheer madness. That's a dangerous criminal. Did he go alone to his death? Lin Dashin bellowed, rushing downstairs while straightening his clothes and shouting. All field agents, gear up and follow me. We've got a situation. As soon as Lin Dashin reached the bottom, He Wei appeared, phone in hand, gasping for breath. Chief, old Zhang says the class A fugitive is already in custody with the criminal investigation team. He's on his way here for interrogation. Lin Dashin's vision went black. He gritted his teeth. Could you just say everything at once? Chapter 7, Catching an A-list fugitive on your first day? 10 a.m. Inside Urxiankyo police station. Chief Lin Dashin and instructor Kong Dongsheng stood at the front of the crowd, with all station officers lined up neatly behind them. Lin Dashin kept glancing toward the entrance, his expression stern. Urxiankyo police station was neither large nor small, with a total staff of just under 50. Everyone had been urgently assembled, none knowing what had happened. They whispered among themselves below. What's the big deal today? Why the sudden assembly? No clue. The chief just mentioned a mission, then abruptly cancelled it, and now we're all here on short notice. Oh, right, aren't the new recruits reporting today? Could this be some kind of welcome ceremony? Forget it, I heard our new recruit ranks dead last in the station and he's late too. The chief's gonna give him hell. It's no wonder everyone thought that. Lin Dashin was a classic old-school cop who took discipline extremely seriously. If anyone in the station was late even by a single minute, it meant starting with 100 push-ups. Let alone an hour late. And the latecomer was a rookie, the one ranked dead last in evaluations. The clock struck 10:30. Lin Dashin could barely stand still, pacing back and forth restlessly among the crowd. Kong Dongsheng couldn't stand Lin Dashin's constant pacing in front of him any longer. Covering his forehead, he snapped. Hey, old Lin, could you stop pacing? It's giving me a headache. Zhang Feng already said the suspect is under control by the criminal police and on his way here. Fong Ning is safe. Lin Dashin didn't stop pacing. Hearing Kong Dongsheng's words, he raised his eyebrows. I couldn't care less about some rookie's safety. I'm worried about the fugitive. Kong Dongsheng smiled without responding. Lin Dashin was the classic type, sharp-tongued but soft-hearted. He was clearly worried sick inside, but he'd never admit it. Just as the two bantered, a deafening roar echoed from the alley entrance. Lin Dashin's eyes lit up. Within seconds, police cars with flashing red and blue lights streamed in one after another. A full 8 brand new police cars, plus one black riot control vehicle. The officers all turned their heads, their eyes fixated on the new police vehicles, especially the black armored riot control vehicle, which had everyone drooling. Criminal Investigation Division vehicles. Why would the CID come to our station? Could it be to assist with a major case? The timing was sudden, and Lin Dashin hadn't had time to explain. The others still didn't know about the Class A fugitive, leaving them all baffled. Soon, 3 officers stepped out of the front row of patrol cars, Fong Ning, Zhou Sun, and Zhang Feng. Lin Dashin plastered on a smile and hurried to greet them, hailing them from a distance. Captain Zhou, it's been a while. Thanks for personally handling this case, much appreciated. Zhou Sun's expression was slightly peculiar. He gave Lin Dashin a stiff handshake and blurted out an inexplicable remark. Chief Lin, congratulations. You've got yourself a promising recruit. Lin Dashin froze slightly, assuming Zhou was referring to Fong Ning catching a clumsy thief on his first day. Just as he was about to respond modestly, Zhang Feng pulled Fong Ning forward and introduced him to the chief. Chief, this is our new recruit, Fong Ning. Fong Ning stood at attention, his posture straight and dignified, saluting with a military salute. Probationary Officer Fong Ning reporting for duty, Chief. Lin Dashin studied him for a moment, his expression unreadable, then gave a slight nod. Though you were late on your first day, you did manage to apprehend a low-level criminal. Not bad. He then gestured toward the officers behind him. These are your seniors' exemplary figures for you to learn from. Fall in. Yes, sir. Zhou Sun stood frozen in place, his mind reeling. What was going on? Could it be that not only this year's recruits are strong, but every police station is this formidable? A Class A fugitive is considered a low-level criminal? Then what qualifies as a high-level criminal? Terrorists? Wait a minute. During the year-end meeting, wasn't Urxiankyo Police Station ranked dead last in performance evaluations? Had the world turned upside down? Seeing Jo Sun's dazed expression, Lin Dashin chuckled. Captain Joe, the interrogation room is all set up, but there's just one small issue. Could you share how you apprehended that Class A fugitive? Let us officers learn something new. He rubbed his hands together, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. Jo Sun's teeth clenched so hard they ground together, a wave of fury surging through him. Only then did he realize Lin Dashin thought he was the one who caught the Class A fugitive. This is ridiculous. Details of the arrest? The details are that I chased the guy for half a day and lost him. Then I chased him for another half day, only to find the suspect had already been apprehended. A lecture? What for? This is nothing but pure humiliation. Jo Sun turned his head to glare at Zhang Feng. Zhang Feng felt a chill down his spine, realizing his wording was off. The fugitive wasn't caught by Jo Sun, but by Fong Ning. He stammered nervously, "Chief, please hear me out." "Don't interrupt." Lin Dashin shot Zhang Feng a displeased look. Captain Joe is sharing valuable experience. Save your comments for later. Jo Sun's face darkened to the extreme. He snorted coldly. Don't ask me about arrest techniques, ask Fong Ning. With that, he swung his arm and strode toward the interrogation room. Kong Dongshang, sensing trouble, hurried after him. Fong Ning? What's going on? Lin Dashin was utterly baffled, his eyes filled with confusion. Zhang Feng inwardly groaned, realizing he'd made a huge blunder. He quickly interjected. Reporting to the chief, the Class A fugitive was apprehended by Fong Ning. He then recounted the entire incident in meticulous detail before everyone present. After listening, the room fell into silence, dead quiet. Several long minutes passed before someone gasped. Good heavens! Catching a thief on your first day is one thing, but an A-level fugitive? Wasn't he supposed to be at the bottom of the performance rankings? How did he get such incredible luck? Wait, I don't see any blood on him. Could it really be a lucky break? Just then, city police officers carried the still unconscious Scorpion past them. Everyone gasped in horror. The bald man was covered in blood, his eyes tightly shut, limbs limp and lifeless, looking utterly pitiful. This is the Class A fugitive? How could he be in such a state? He barely looks human anymore. Zhang Feng sensed their confusion and explained, he was already like this when I arrived. I heard Fong Ning took him down single-handedly. All eyes instantly turned to Fong Ning, filled with shock. He captured an A-level fugitive single-handedly, without a scratch on him. Most importantly, wasn't he ranked last in the assessment? How could he be this strong? Are all the new recruits this formidable? The group was utterly flustered, frozen in place. Fong Ning felt a bit embarrassed under their stares and scratched his head. I said Chuncheng cops were all wimps, and I just couldn't hold back, got a little rough. Whoa! The crowd sucked in a collective gasp, rolling their eyes in unison. A bit too hard? This was a full-on lethal strike, okay? Good. 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 Lin Dashin repeated good 3 times in a row, his face flushed and the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes crinkling together. He hastily grasped Fong Ning's hand, his voice fervent. Urxiankyo needs police officers with your kind of guts. Welcome aboard. He then turned to the crowd behind him. Though Fong Ning is new, he's a role model for all of you. Learn from him. Everyone. Chapter 8, Tough Guy? Beat you until you talk. Inside the chief's office. Lin Dashin sat upright in his office chair, while Fong Ning leaned back casually across from him. Ever since learning Fong Ning had apprehended the Class A fugitive, Lin Dashin's smile had practically split his face. He insisted on pulling Fong Ning into his office for tea. Taking a sip of strong tea, Lin Dashin found himself growing more impressed with Fong Ning by the second. He was big and burly, fiercely righteous, and had serious muscle. As for his academic credentials? Screw that. A cop who catches criminals is a good cop. Fong Ning gulped down a large mouthful of tea, smacking his lips. The cup was too small for his thirst, and his eyes darted toward the teapot. Lin Dashin's mouth twitched. Every single person who'd ever come to the office for tea had been civilized, none had guzzled like this. After a moment's pause, he rose to refill Fong Ning's cup, his face brimming with questions. Ahem, Fong Ning, tell me about how you caught that thief. Lin Dashin was genuinely curious how Fong Ning had managed to apprehend a criminal, especially an A-level fugitive. In his 20-odd years on the job, he'd seen fewer than 5 Class A fugitives in total, let alone apprehended one. Seeing the gleam in the chief's eyes, Fong Ning didn't hesitate. He recounted the day's events to the chief in vivid detail. Lin Dashin listened with rapt attention, as if he were right there in the scene. When Xiaolu began confessing to the crime, a hint of confusion flickered across his brow. When he heard about Scorpion hiding at the alley entrance and breaking into the kindergarten to take the female teacher hostage, he clenched his fists tightly, his fingers trembling slightly with tension. Finally, when Xiaolu mentioned Scorpion insulting the Chuncheng police and how Fong Ning accidentally crippled him, Lin Dashin shot to his feet. Damn it, that bastard. Serves him right. Startled by the sudden outburst, Fong Ning swallowed the words on the tip of his tongue. Realizing his outburst, Lin Dashan felt embarrassed and gave an awkward chuckle. You handled this well, apprehending a class of fugitive barehanded. I'll draft a commendation report for higher-ups immediately. With Captain Joe's testimony from the Criminal Investigation Division, I think you're in line for a second-class merit award. As the words second-class merit left his lips, he felt a surge of excitement. As the saying goes, a first-class merit is earned by the family, while a second-class merit is earned by doing nothing. Earning a second-class merit on his very first day on the job? Not just in all of Spring City, but in the entire province of Yun there was no precedent. Fong Ning remained utterly expressionless at the mention of the second-class merit, as if the words held no power to stir his heart. In his previous life as an undercover agent for decades, third-class and second-class meritorious service medals were practically handed out to him by the dozen. Only the first-class medal remained elusive. A bitter smile tugged at Fong Ning's lips. After his death, he'd probably receive that first-class merit. Seeing Fong Ning stare blankly, Lin Dashan thought he hadn't heard clearly and repeated. Second-class merit. Bonus, 20,000 yuan. The mention of a bonus made Fong Ning's eyes light up. 20,000 yuan. The reward was twice as high as in his previous life. Criminals in this parallel Blue Star must be rampant for the reward to be so generous. Chief, when will the bonus be paid out? Fong Ning looked at Lin Dashan with eager anticipation. For a moment, Lin Dashan thought he was seeing things. Fong Ning's eyes were clearly glowing green. Years later, after retiring, Lin Dashan recalled that moment with certainty. Fong Ning's eyes had indeed glowed green. No wonder Fong Ning was so eager. He was simply too poor. Not only did he take the bus to work to save money, but he never even added an egg to his breakfast. Lin Dashan sat back in his chair and sipped his tea again. Don't worry. I'll write the report today. 3 days at the earliest. A week at the latest. Fong Ning nodded slightly at the chief's words, and the two left the office. Just as Lin Dashan was about to show Fong Ning around, they reached the second floor and saw Zhou Sun and Kong Dongsheng emerge from the interrogation room, both looking troubled. Zhou Sun lit a cigarette and leaned against the wall, smoking it absent-mindedly. With each drag, the ash piled up long and curved like a crescent moon. Lin Dashan frowned, walked over, and exchanged questioning glances with Kong Dongsheng. Kong Dongsheng sighed helplessly. Scorpion woke up. After regaining consciousness, he hasn't uttered a single word. He just stares blankly at the ceiling, being extremely uncooperative. Zhou Sun took another deep drag, flicked the cigarette butt onto the ground, and crushed it underfoot. Damn it, I swear he's doing this on purpose. Fong Ning heard that Scorpion refused to cooperate, and his mind flashed back to the little girl and kindergarten teacher who had nearly lost their lives. An inexplicable rage surged within him. He volunteered to the chief, "Chief, let me try." You? Lin Dashan's eyebrows twitched twice, hesitation visible. Catching an A-level fugitive is impressive, but interrogation and arrest are two different things. A fugitive like this knows he'll die if caught and won't cooperate at all. Even the city's interrogation experts would likely need days to break them. Let alone someone like Fong Ning, who's not exactly a scholar. Lin Dashan was about to refuse. Zhou Sun, standing nearby, spoke up with a grim expression, "I approve. We've got no leads anyway, might as well let him try. After all, he's the one who apprehended him, maybe he'll have some unexpected insight." Kong Dongsheng nodded in agreement, signaling they could give it a shot. Seeing both men agree, Lin Dashan couldn't say anything more. "Alright then, we'll go in with you." Inside the interrogation room. 2 compartments were separated by a partition, left and right. The left side was the interrogation room, the right the monitoring room. Through the transparent glass, 2 officers could be seen relentlessly questioning Scorpion. But Scorpion seemed deaf, staring fixedly at the ceiling without moving. Zhou Sun spoke into the intercom, "You two can come out now." After exiting, the 2 officers looked dejected and shook their heads at Zhou Sun, indicating no progress. "I'll give it a try." Fong Ning rose and opened the interrogation room door. The next second, Fong Ning suddenly turned back. "What should I ask?" Zhou Sun froze at the question, suddenly remembering Fong Ning was still an intern. Today was her first day on the job. His mouth twitched twice before he sighed helplessly. "Ask about the murder weapon and the burial site." His expression grew weary as he spoke, regretting letting Fong Ning try. He didn't even know what to ask. Going in would be pointless. "Got it." Fong Ning turned and pushed open the door to enter the interrogation room. Seeing Scorpion staring blankly at the ceiling, Fong Ning tentatively called out twice. "Scorpion, look at me. Who do you think I am? If you know what's good for you, tell me the murder weapon and where you buried the body. Or you'll regret it." Scorpion remained unresponsive, not even flinching. Not a single reaction. Outside the window, several people overheard Fong Ning's interrogation and felt a wave of dizziness wash over them. Lin Dashan and Kong Dongsheng exchanged glances, both sharing a helpless smile. Fong Ning was clearly a complete amateur. Who would answer such direct questions right off the bat? Only a fool would. Zhou Sun sighed inwardly, already planning to hand the interrogation over to the experts back at the municipal bureau. Inside the interrogation room, seeing Scorpion remain silent, Fong Ning's lips curled into a cold smile. "Keep pretending. Keep pretending. Let's see how long you can keep it up. Without further ado, he strode slowly toward the Scorpion Man, clenching his fists. Instantly, he felt that familiar, inexplicable aura emanating from his knuckles. Truth Fist buff. Host's fists now possess truth-inducing properties. Criminal has a 10% chance to speak truthfully. He raised his fist, gathering power, and struck the Scorpion's right ribs with force. Crack! The sound of shattered ribs echoed. Veins bulged on the Scorpion's forehead as he stared at Fong Ning in terror, utterly stunned that Fong Ning would strike here. Talk! Fong Ning demanded calmly. The Scorpion's face contorted in agony, yet he uttered not a sound, his gaze fixed intently on Fong Ning. Fong Ning inwardly marveled. Truly a man who kills without blinking, what remarkable endurance. Then came 3 more punches. All landed squarely on his midsection. Ah! God damn it! Scorpion's eyes blazed crimson as his body curled into a ball, arching like a shrimp, convulsing violently. Speak! The murder weapon. The burial site. This time, the once stubborn Scorpion seemed like a different person. Head bowed, he croaked from his throat. The murder weapon is at the burial site. The address is. Chapter 9, Super Reward. Physical Enhancement. Divine Hand? Inside the interrogation room, Scorpion recounted the specific details and burial sites of over 10 murders. He talked for over half an hour. Monitor room. Lin Dashan, Zhou Sun, and Kong Dongxing stared at each other wide-eyed, frozen in place. Was this considered a successful interrogation? Lin Dashan's lips trembled slightly, feeling utterly shaken. He had agreed to let Fong Ning conduct the interrogation precisely to let him hit a wall and toughen up. Who knew Fong Ning would defy all expectations and just go in for the kill? That was way too violent. Lin Dashan glanced at the instructor beside him, only to find Kong Dongxing also gaping in shock, tongue-tied. Their eyes met, and Kong Dongxing shook his head, signaling he had no idea how to handle this. Both swallowed hard and turned their gaze toward Zhou Sun. After hearing Scorpion's testimony, Zhou Sun felt a tidal wave of shock surge through his mind. Unlike Lin Dashan and Kong Dongxing, he was intimately familiar with Scorpion's file. The details in Scorpion's testimony matched the case files perfectly, the timing, locations, logic, and methods all aligned. What stunned him even more was that several other unsolved murders were also Scorpion's doing. Because they were crimes of passion, the homicide squad had never linked these cases to Scorpion. This meant that this interrogation not only completed the closed evidence chain for Scorpion, but also solved several unsolved cases in the city. An unexpected windfall. Zhou Sun's eyes lit up. Suddenly slapping his forehead, he asked the technician. Did you record everything the Scorpion said earlier? Yes, every word. Where did you start recording? Scorpion, you know who I am. You'll regret this. From the moment Scorpion started talking, Zhou Sun's vision went black for a second. He quickly turned to Lin Dashan with a forced smile. Director Lin, we need to get those surveillance cameras fixed ASAP. After saying this, he gave Lin Dashan a knowing look. Having navigated the chief's circle for so many years, Lin Dashan, who consistently ranked dead last yet never got replaced, possessed a sharp mind. He understood instantly. He turned and silently deleted the surveillance footage before sighing. Captain Zhou was right. We can't have broken surveillance. I'll report it immediately. With that, both men shared a knowing chuckle, a sense of camaraderie between kindred spirits. The interrogation concluded, and Zhou Sun wasted no time preparing to escort Scorpion back to the Municipal Bureau immediately, to avoid any complications. Tomorrow they'd arrange the crime scene identification, then prosecution, sentencing, and a peanut as a reward. After arranging for Fong Ning to rest, the station chief escorted Zhou Sun and his team to the main gate. As they departed, Zhou Sun smiled and said, Old Lin, rest assured I'll report this truthfully to headquarters. Your Urxi Enkyo team deserves major credit for this. Barring any surprises, recognition is guaranteed. You've got yourself a real gem here. As Zhou Sun spoke, his gaze drifted toward Fong Ning's direction, his eyes brimming with admiration. Lin Dashan hastily waved his hands. Old Zhou, this is simply our duty. Commendations? We don't need that sort of thing. Ah, but speaking of which, could you perhaps emphasize our Urxi Enkyo police station a bit more when writing the report? Zhou Sun rolled his eyes, hesitated for a moment, then whispered. Old Lin, could I ask you a favor? Go ahead, no problem at all. Lin Dashan's face flushed with warmth as he waved his hand generously, his tone courteous. That Fong Ning kid's pretty sharp. Could you possibly part with him and let him join our criminal investigation division? Ah, that hurts. Old Zhou, I won't see you off. Got to run to the bathroom. Lin Dashan took A and bolted, running as fast as a young man. Old fox. Zhou Sun muttered under his breath, then climbed into the police car and drove off. Meanwhile, the city criminal investigation team had already departed, bringing the case to a temporary close. Fong Ning lay resting on his side in the break room, looking exhausted. Catching a petty thief on the bus this morning, then apprehending Scorpion at the kindergarten, followed by interrogating Scorpion, he hadn't stopped for a single moment. Though he'd maintained rigorous physical training throughout this lifetime, giving him far superior stamina to the average person, his body was starting to feel the strain. Just then, Fong Ning heard the familiar, pleasant system notification sound. Ding! Successful apprehension of criminal detected. Reward justice points, 1,000. 1,000. Fong Ning was somewhat surprised. While he'd expected the bounty for a wanted criminal to be higher than that for a petty thief, he hadn't anticipated a tenfold difference. Holy cow! Even though the lottery wasn't discounted, 1,000 points meant he could draw 5 times. He'd already pulled the Eye of Truth buff on his first try. What treasures might 5 attempts unearth? Fong Ning's eyes lit up. Without hesitation, he silently chanted, "Draw." A crimson will instantly materialize before his eyes, spinning slowly. Ding, thank you for your patronage. Ding, thank you for your patronage. 2 consecutive thank you for your patronage. Fong Ning's brows knitted into a deep frown. He thought to himself, turns out this morning was just a beginner's luck. This is the familiar gotcha experience. I refuse to believe it's all thank you for your patronage. Fong Ning now resembled a gambler on a roll, choosing without hesitation to continue the draw. Ding, thank you for your patronage. Ding. Congratulations, host, you have obtained Physical Constitution Spinach 1. Ding. Congratulations, host, you have obtained the Divine Hand buff. Physical Spinach? Divine Hand? Sounds pretty good. Fong Ning hurriedly checked the usage instructions. Constitution Spinach permanently enhances the host's physical attributes. P.S. Go crush them. Popeye's Spinach? Curiosity piqued, Fong Ning immediately chose to use it. The next second, a warm current flooded his entire body, leaving him tingly and numb, followed by a surge of strength filling his limbs. The mysterious aura emanating from his fists grew significantly stronger. Clenching his fists, Fong Ning felt he could take down a bull. He stood up and bounced in place, only to smack his head against the ceiling with a loud thud. Ouch! Fong Ning let out a yell, clutching his head and wailing. Glancing up, he saw a hole torn right through the ceiling. Whoa! That was seriously strong. He tiptoed lightly, feeling the astonishing explosive power in his legs. Fong Ning was certain that if he ever encountered a situation like the Scorpion Man again, he could guarantee his head would be right on target in no time. Suppressing his excitement, Fong Ning checked the information for the Thief God's buff. Divine Hand buff, host gains peak thievery skill, reaching world-leading level. P.S. Nothing can stop you from getting what you want. Divine Hand? The name sounds impressive, but it has nothing to do with catching thieves. As a police officer, you want me to steal? Forget it. Who knows, it might come in handy someday. Muttering to myself, I opened the system panel again. This time, the system had changed. Host, Fong Ning. Strength 20 average human 10. Stamina 20 average human 10. Speed 20 average human 10. Current buffs, Fist of Truth, Eye of Reality, Hand of God. Justice value, 0. Seeing physical stats twice that of an ordinary person, plus 3 God tier buffs, Fong Ning nodded with satisfaction. With these, he was practically a little cow riding a plane. Totally awesome. Just as Fong Ning stood there grinning like an idiot, Instructor Kong Dongxing pushed open the door and smiled at him. You worked hard today. The chief has an urgent matter and wants you to go home and rest. There's a surprise waiting for you tomorrow. What kind of surprise? Fong Ning flashed his signature toothy grin. Top secret. Kong Dongxing turned and left immediately. Fong Ning didn't press for details, obediently clocking out and heading home to sleep. Of course, he still rode home in the familiar 8-wheel truck. Chapter 10, Second Class Merit on First Day. Directly promoted. Early morning, the sun hung high in the sky, showering warm rays that made even the air along the road feel sweet. As usual, Fong Ning boarded the 8th Route Army bus bound for Urxiankyo Police Station. He entered the station at 5 minutes to 9. Not a moment late. Fong Ning entered the compound with a cheerful expression, ready to greet his colleagues and build rapport. After wandering around a few areas, he discovered the entire station was completely quiet. Yet the entire courtyard was spotless, with even the fence adorned with clusters of red flowers. Did I come too early? That can't be right. Isn't the workday supposed to start at 9? After staring for a while longer and still seeing no one, Fong Ning couldn't help but feel puzzled. Just then, a loud bang echoed as ceremonial cannon blast rang out beside him. Bang! Bang! Boom! The salutes rang out one after another, colorful streamers bursting overhead in a dazzling display. Immediately after, Station Chief Lin Dashan and Political Instructor Kong Dongxiang led the station's officers in a flurry of applause to welcome him. Zhang Feng and He Wei went all out, unfurling a banner behind them emblazoned with bright yellow characters. A warm welcome to Comrade Fong Ning at Urxiankyo Police Station. Fong Ning froze for a moment, then a faint smile touched his lips as a wave of emotion washed over him. In his previous life, he had always fought alone in the darkness, never daring to trust anyone around him. Little did he expect that in this new life, he would find long-lost warmth right here at the police station where he had just started work. Seeing Fong Ning's dazed expression, Lin Dashan grinned and said, "Surprised? This is a blessing from all your colleagues at Urxiankyo." Fong Ning felt a bit embarrassed with so many people gathered before him. "Chief, this is far too grand. I'm terribly sorry to trouble everyone like this. Lin Dashan raised his hand to silence Fong Ning, declaring proudly. Not at all. This is how we welcome newcomers at Urxiankyo police station. He then turned to the crowd behind him. Right, everyone? Right. The chief is always right. The group rolled their eyes inwardly. It was true that Urxiankyo had a welcome ceremony, but it consisted of only 3 sentences. Oh, a new recruit has arrived. Not bad, work hard. You'll be assigned to follow someone. Dismissed. When did they start hanging banners, unfurling streamers, and setting off fireworks? Yet despite this distinct treatment, not a single trace of discontent rippled through the crowd. Every gaze directed at Fong Ning carried respect. Though Fong Ning was a new recruit, what rookie could arrest an A-level fugitive on their first day? Not only that, but colleagues in the interrogation room said the fugitive was actually broken down by Fong Ning. This wasn't a rookie, he was a powerhouse. Lin Dashan stepped forward, clasping Fong Ning's hand with a smile in his eyes. Old Kong mentioned yesterday he had a surprise for you. How'd you like it? Fong Ning smiled politely at the colleagues gathered before him. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Instructor. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate this surprise. Lin Dashan's eyes sparkled with even greater amusement as he said mysteriously, this is just the beginning. The surprises aren't over yet. Before Fong Ning could react, Lin Dashan's expression turned serious, his entire demeanor shifting abruptly with a sense of solemnity. All personnel at Urxian Bridge, fall in. Within a minute, the group stood in neat formation within the courtyard, with Fong Ning positioned at the far right. Lin Dashan narrowed his eyes, his gaze sharp as he surveyed the assembled personnel. Fong Ning, probationary officer of Urxiankyo police station. For outstanding meritorious service, the organization has decided. He is hereby promoted to full officer status and awarded his rank effective immediately. The moment the words left his mouth, the crowd erupted in an uproar. What? Did I hear that right? Promoted? Promoted on his second day on the job? Goodness gracious, it took me a grueling year to get promoted, and this guy gets it in just 2 days? This is outrageous. Not just our bureau, probably the first in all of Chun City, even the entire Yun province. Eyes widened in disbelief, and a wave of envy washed over Fong Ning. Fong Ning himself was startled. He hadn't expected to be promoted so soon. He thought he'd have to grind it out for another year or so. But this was fine with enforcement authority, he could crack down on criminals more effectively. More importantly, apprehending criminals wasn't just his duty. The justice points earned from arrests could be used for lottery draws. Fist of truth, eye of truth, hand of God. Each one was a god-tier buff. With these, he would surely be able to combat criminals more effectively. This lifetime, he would eradicate every criminal in the Dragon Nation. Trainee Officer Fong Ning, step forward. Lin Dashan's authoritative voice snapped Fong Ning out of his thoughts. Straightening his posture, Fong Ning marched forward in step. Instructor Kong Dongsheng personally held a box containing a police cap and insignia. Fong Ning stood tall with his head held high. Despite having lived over 50 years across 2 lifetimes, he felt a surge of nervousness in this moment. Lin Dashan took the cap and slowly placed it on Fong Ning's head with meticulous care. After securing the cap, Lin Dashan replaced Fong Ning's 2-bar insignia with the new rank, his movements utterly solemn. First class. 3rd grade police superintendent. Fong Ning's face flushed slightly. Only now had he truly become a police officer. Snap. Eager applause erupted from the audience as the police force gained another like-minded colleague. With the promotion complete, Lin Dashan's expression relaxed, returning to his usual cheerful self. He looked at the crowd and smiled. Ahem, I have another piece of good news to share. Ears perked up instantly, eager to hear what the good news might be. After all, Urxiankyo police station consistently ranked last. Truly joyous occasions were few and far between. Lin Dashan cleared his throat and addressed the group. Urxiankyo police station, for its meritorious capture of an A-level fugitive, has received high commendation from the district bureau. The banner of honor is right here. He pulled a roll of red cloth from his sleeve and unfurled it with a flourish, revealing it clearly to all. Recognition. Real recognition. Urxiankyo finally has an honor. It wasn't easy, all thanks to Fong Ning. That's right. If it weren't for Comrade Fong Ning, our station probably wouldn't have even gotten this commendation. Everyone gazed at Fong Ning with eyes brimming with gratitude and fervor. Fong Ning felt uncomfortable under their scrutiny, but Kong Dongsheng cheerfully interjected, this commendation was actually retrieved by the station chief from the district bureau overnight. It was originally scheduled to arrive the day after tomorrow. Fong Ning suddenly understood. No wonder the director was absent yesterday, he'd been out claiming credit. What an interesting old man, Fong Ning thought to himself. Suddenly, Lin Dashan called out, Fong Ning. Ha! Startled by the abrupt call, Fong Ning looked up in surprise. Lin Dashan grabbed Fong Ning by the arm and pointed at him, announcing to the crowd. Our station's Fong Ning has demonstrated exceptional merit. The organization has decided to award Fong Ning a second-class merit award. A bonus of 20,000 yuan. The crowd below the stage couldn't stop gaping. Hearing this news, their jaws dropped so wide they went numb. A second-class merit. This is a second-class merit. You see, in all the years of Urxiankyo police station's existence, not a single third-class merit had ever been awarded. Fong Ning, a newly hired intern, had earned a second-class merit in just 2 days. No, make that 1 day. On his very first day reporting for duty, he earned a second-class merit. Truly, comparison is the thief of joy. Fong Ning wasn't overly moved by the second-class merit since the station chief had hinted yesterday that it was a sure thing. What he cared about more was when the bonus would be paid out. So, under the hopeful gazes of everyone present, Fong Ning bit his lip and asked, about that, when will the bonus be paid out? Chapter 11, Chief, I'll be Fong Ning's mentor. Inside Urxiankyo police station. The moment Fong Ning finished speaking, everyone's vision went black. What was going on? Shouldn't he be giving an acceptance speech right now? Then express gratitude? And recount how he earned that second-class merit? Why bring up the bonus? Compared to the second-class merit award, the bonus is practically nothing. Director Lin Dashan's mouth twitched twice in quick succession. Damn it, he'd intended to use Fong Ning to boost everyone's morale. Who'd have thought he'd throw a curveball and ask when the bonus would be paid out? This kid so fixated on the bonus? Could something be wrong at home? He'd have to ask him about it later. Taking a deep breath, Lin Dashan feared Fong Ning might say something else shocking and quickly pulled Ning over to explain. We're recognizing your achievements early. The bonus will be issued alongside your second-class merit certificate, which is currently under review. Oh, well then. Fong Ning hummed in disappointment and fell silent. Lin Dashan, not daring to let Fong Ning ramble on, steered the conversation with a smile. Fong Ning, why don't you share the full story of how you apprehended that Class A fugitive with everyone? Let everyone learn from your experience. Seeing the curious expressions on his colleagues' faces, Fong Ning held nothing back, recounting the entire process in detail. Another wave of gasps rippled through the group. What? That dark alleyway is Backstreet Alley, right? Only people who grew up there know their way around that place. How did you know where the fugitive was? Exactly. I know Backstreet Alley, it's pitch black inside, filthy and chaotic. 9 out of 10 people who go and can't find their way out. How did you manage it? Fong Ning was suddenly at a loss for words. How could he explain this? He couldn't exactly say he had the true sight buff, could he? If he said that, he'd probably be labeled a lunatic. Just intuition, I guess. My intuition is usually spot on. Fong Ning could only make up a flimsy excuse. Intuition? That intuition is a bit too strong, it could practically function as a GPS. The others weren't satisfied with this answer. Seeing Fong Ning fall silent after speaking, they didn't press further and instead shifted to another question. What about the specifics of the arrest? I've seen Scorpion's file. He trained at a martial arts school when he was younger and is quite skilled. How did you manage to completely subdue him? Nothing special. Just got a little rough. Fong Ning scratched his head. Whoa. A bit rough? The group rolled their eyes again, recalling Scorpion's gruesome state from yesterday. When Scorpion was brought in, there wasn't a single spot on him that wasn't covered in blood. How is that a bit rough? It was clearly beating him to death. Seeing the conversation taking a turn for the worse, Lin Dashan finally couldn't hold back and waved his hands urgently. Alright. That's enough experience sharing for now. Save the rest of your questions for another time. He could tell now Fong Ning was a real tiger. If they kept talking, who knew what else he might say? No more letting this kid speak. Lin Dashan muttered to himself. Just then, a man and a woman entered the room. Neither wore police uniforms, and they looked thoroughly exhausted. Lin Dashan's eyes lit up as he called out to them, Ichan, Dacheng. Mission complete? Come over here quickly. The woman was in her early 20s, wearing a lace short-sleeve top and a form-fitting long skirt that showcased her stunning figure. Beneath her shoulder-length hair sat a delicate, oval face, and beneath long lashes lay a pair of bright, piercing eyes. In an instant, a phrase flashed through Fong Ning's mind, both regal and fierce. Having spent years as an undercover agent in his previous life, he'd seen all kinds of beauties. But this woman before him? Without exaggeration, she could easily rank in his top 3. If he had to rate her, she'd be at least an 8. And that was without makeup properly dressed. She could easily hit a 9. As for the male companion, Fong Ning hadn't studied him closely, only noting that his face was quite pale. The two approached and fell into line before them. Seeing the large gathering, they couldn't help but look around curiously, wondering what was happening. Lin Dashan grinned as he introduced them to Fong Ning. These two are elite officers from our station. This is Shuri-chan. Though she's only been on the job for 2 years, she's already a star officer at our station. Before you arrived, she held the record for the fastest arrest of a thief in our station's history. This is Zhao Dacheng, a seasoned frontline officer with extensive experience. He's our station's star pickpocket catcher. This is Fong Ning, a new recruit who just joined yesterday. Today is his welcome ceremony. Fong Ning smiled and nodded to both of them. Shuri-chan returned the nod, her gaze lingering on Fong Ning with a hint of surprise and curiosity. She caught a major thief on her third day. Could he have surpassed her record? Had he snagged a thief on his very first day? Zhao Duqing lifted his chin in a perfunctory nod, a flicker of disdain crossing his eyes. Just a rookie, lucky enough to snag a thief. Was all this fanfare really necessary? It was as if he